G'day everybody, you're watching All Things Outdoors and it is time for another kayak camping adventure. Now today I'm going to depart from my usual river kayak camping and we're headed to Lake Tyers, which is in the Gippsland coastal lake system, which is a saltwater lake, so headed for a bit of saltwater action. Hopefully we can catch some saltwater fish. The only problem is, between me and Lake Tyers is the Great Dividing Range, so I've got to cross a fairly tall mountain to get there, so got a couple of hours of driving to go and I'll update you guys when I get closer, but hopefully should be a really good trip. I've got two work buddies coming with me this time, Mark and Zoltan. It's going to be a great trip, stick with me. One of my greatest memories as a kid was taking a trip to the beach and just hoping to be the first one in the car to see the ocean and yelling out before everyone else. So I still get that feeling today when I come down to the beach. So I finally arrived here at Lake Tyers Beach, which is basically at the inlet to the ocean. I believe the inlet's actually closed over at the moment by the beach. So we're going to put the boats on the water here and paddle up the Nowa arm, or is it Nowa? The Nowa arm of Lake Tyers and camp at a place called Cameron's Track. Now, the original plan, before the weather made us change our plans, was to go out into the main lake, just the other side of Lake's entrance there, and camp out on the Bunga arm, on a campsite that's on the spit between the lake and the beach, which would have been fantastic. You know, you could just walk over to the beach. But the winds for tomorrow are going to be like 30 to 40 knots into our face, and I don't fancy paddling into a 30 to 40 knot headwind because we would not make any progress whatsoever. So we decided to err on the side of caution, as I like to do, and come to Lake Tyers, which is far more sheltered from those winds. Hello, Zoltan.
Zoltan.
Justin, look what I got.
Oh, nice.
From the Intrepid. This is for you.
Right, we've just put in case you can't tell, it is super windy, so I'm probably not going to say too much until we get into the sheltered water. So we've got about a kilometre paddle across this open stretch until we can get into some sheltered water. And I've just hit a real shallow patch, so I've got to get moving. And I've already run aground. Whoa, splash! And that paddling was pretty sketchy coming across with a headwind there. I've got so much water in the kayak now that I'm going to have to pull over and tip it all out. And I think it's overflowed into the centre console, so hopefully those dry bags that I have in there with my camera batteries in it are okay. So at least we're in the calm bit now. So we'll pull over here and get sorted. It's funny, you look back over there now and you go, oh, that looks alright, nice and calm.
Yeah. When you look just on half an hour, so like 3 k's an hour paddling it.
Yeah,
Which isn't too
that's not too bad into the wind.
Considering.
I know, I was going over the white caps and dipping down the other side and digging the bow in. And
When I saw you paddle past, right, I was thinking, geez, I feel like I'm relying really low, this water's breaking across my bow. When I saw you go past, I'm like, mate, you're like a submarine. You're just barely above the water.
So we just pulled over for a break after that horrendous paddle across the open water into the wind. And now hopefully the wind is at our back and we're in the lee of this bit of land here that can protect us. So hopefully we should be able to do alright now. It's still so windy. Considering the weather conditions, we've made the decision to stop at a campsite which is a lot closer than what we're originally going to go to. Ooh, blackfish. Which is probably good considering there are thunderstorms forecast for this afternoon. Perhaps we could get to camp a little bit sooner and get things set up just in case it starts to thunder and we can take shelter. Which means if we get set up in camp, we can take the kayaks out and do some fishing offshore. Hopefully catch something to eat for dinner. And the wind's swung around to a southerly, so it's at our backs at the moment, thankfully. But it keeps swinging sort of from southerly to westerly. It's a bit unpredictable. So hopefully when we turn around this point, we're not faced with a headwind again. I don't know whether you can see it on camera there, but there's already some squally storms out to sea. But to the west of us where the weather's actually coming from, it's still okay. So we'll see how that goes. So we just came around the point out of that southerly wind. I mean, it was at our backs, but it was still pretty rough, and it's so much better around here. So I think I'm just going to hug the shoreline here and just follow it around. I mean, our campsite's going to be on the other side of the lake, but we can follow it around along the shoreline and then push across once we get level with the campsite. But it's still already been a rough day's kayaking, that's for sure. So Zoltan just had an incident where he got caught up in Mark's kayak and snapped his rod.
That was just on that bend.
Not even 2 hours into the trip and you've lost your only fishing rod. pretty cool. We might go and check it out. The wind is howling down it. It's kind of exposed, but let's see what it looks like. The wind has picked up again. Alright, let's go for a scout out in here. All these trees seem to shelter you from the wind a fair bit. Hopefully there's a nice clear spot back in here where we can set up. Oh, this looks kind of cool. Nice little sheltered spot. There's bugger all wind down here at ground level, it's all up in the trees. Right, we'll go see if we can wrangle the other two and get them over here to have a look. It's probably a good thing we decided to make camp when we did, because look what's brewing on the horizon. There'd be nothing worse than being out and paddling in that, that's for sure. Looks like we made it just in the nick of time. Oh no! Just leave it! Just leave it! Did you hook yourself? I saw! Oh. Not a moment too soon. Oh. Really coming down out there. So glad I found this campsite when I did. Oh. Well, that just poured down like torrential rain that you would see in the tropics. I jumped in my tent and then the water started coming into the tent, so I had to get out, dig a trench around the top of the tent so the water could flow past. But hopefully I can get the tent dry before I get in it tonight, so because it's supposed to get quite cold tonight and I'd hate to be wet trying to sleep in my tent. Hopefully these thunderstorms blow over before tonight. I think the worst of them are supposed to be gone by sort of 8 o'clock tonight, so hopefully we can have a nice evening eventually. Now that all the wind's gone away, it's actually quite pleasant out here. It's still raining a bit. Still hear a lot of thunder around. Nice to jinx myself because the wind and rain's picked up again. But at least it's not freezing cold yet. So hopefully the rain will be gone, we can dry everything out and make sure that we're warm for tonight. To make matters worse, I did this when I was dragging the kayak up the beach. That'll make for an interesting paddle home. 2/3 of that blade left, so we might be paddling around in circles. That'll be interesting. There's the bit that came off. Maybe I can splint it perhaps and not be able to use it. Just to prove that we actually are catching fish, Mark got a nice little brim, obviously undersized, so he's going to go and throw it back right now. But there is life.
There is life in the lakes. Okay.
Yeah. We're currently waiting for another band of rain to come through, which is a pain because we collected all of this. You see on my tent there, a lot of tinder and kindling to light a fire, and we're waiting for the rain to come through so that we can light the fire, hopefully get it going. Everything around here is wet at the moment from that last big torrential downpour that we had come through, so we've tried to collect some dry bark and tinder, kindling, that sort of stuff to get a fire going, so fingers crossed that we can get it going. We're only going to have one shot at it too, so once this rain comes past we'll light the fire. So we're going to attempt to start a fire. Everything is absolutely soaked, so we've got some bit of paper bark here, so the inner layers of paper bark, which we're hoping is relatively dry. And we've got some dead tea tree twigs, which will be the next bit to go on. We're just getting some twiggy stuff at the moment, and then we've got some of that bigger stuff, and hopefully if we can get enough heat in it we'll be able to actually put wet stuff on there and it'll burn. But we've only got one shot. I did bring some firelighters, so let's see how we go. I'm not holding out much hope though. We might just have to go to bed. So far so good.
We're getting there.
Good.
Good old tea tree. Well, hopefully we can keep it going. Look who created fire from wet wood. How good's this? Well, that wasn't too bad a night's sleep. Had a nice level campsite. And the mattress was pretty good. Just come down to the water to check the conditions. And it looks okay. Hopefully later on this morning it'll look alright and we'll be able to paddle back without getting too wet. But check out all this foam that's washed up on the shore. Obviously the wind and the rain stirred that up. Now it looks like we're going to have a headwind to paddle into the whole way back, so it'll make things interesting as well. Hopefully we don't get those waves like we did yesterday and got very wet, because it's quite cool this morning. Just walking around and I saw this little star picket with this ear tag on it in front of what looks to be a wombat hole. Now it's got lat longs on it, but I can't understand what the other stuff means. Maybe it's from the Parks Victoria have put it there for a to mark the den for some reason. Might be some other animal, some sort of special animal perhaps, that's on the endangered list, so I think I'll best leave this alone. Right, we're away for a headwind paddle all the way back. Rudders down. Now, as I mentioned last night, I snapped one of my paddle blades. So Mark was gracious enough to let me borrow his paddle on the way home because he has a little pedal drive. So he'll just use my broken paddle just to get him to shore and that sort of thing, but his little prop is what propels him along. So we've just come into the main portion of the lake that we crossed yesterday, which was really windy and in our face. The wind's has died down a little bit, so we've decided rather than hug the shoreline, we're just going to make a beeline for the boat ramp, which will probably cut about 1 kilometre off the paddle, which at this stage is perfect. And while the wind is blowing, the water's still quite warm, so even though I'm getting sprayed with water, I'm not cold. I mean, the sun's not out, and I wouldn't say it was exactly warm, but I'm keeping warm from paddling. So hopefully we'll be at the boat ramp within 20 or 30 minutes. Going direct. Thank God. This has been a tough paddle. It's only been 6 kilometres, but it's as tough a paddle as I've done for a while. Looks like Mark might have got a fish on. There's the boat ramp just there, but I've got to get around this little island in front of me to get there, so direct it's probably about 400 metres, but I'm probably going to have to do about 600 to get there. Well, this trip, even though we only paddled 12 kilometres in total, has been one of the tougher trips that I've done. I mean, I'm a very committed river paddler where the conditions are always favourable and you're going with the current. So paddling in a lake that has no current, paddling against the wind and against the waves, it's not really my cup of tea, but hopefully it makes a good video, because you get to see me struggle. But I'd like to thank all those people that have commented on my videos. There's always been positive comments, and I love the discussion that I get to have with all of you about getting out and camping, not necessarily kayak camping, but any sort of getting out in the bush. Because, as I've said before in previous videos, I reckon it repairs the soul. It's like doing maintenance. You've got to do maintenance to keep your mind running properly. Like getting out into the wilderness and resetting your brain. Definitely maintenance. I reckon I'm going to run aground here in a second. And there we go. Oh well, it looks like I've got to drag the last 40 metres. That's okay, the water's warm. All that's left for this trip now is to leave the obligatory mark. Here comes Zoltan. Oh, he's beached as well. He's gonna have to walk in. And there's Mark. Pedalling. He's gonna have to get out even sooner because of his prop. So the fishing trip wasn't a complete bust. No. Mark, how far out were you? About 500 metres from shore? Yeah. On the way. Wait. Got a nice, busting up. Yeah, got a nice little tailer.
Hang on a second.
Oh, and yeah, Zoltan had a hook up. And that's what's left of his soft plastic. So he caught one, he hooked one up, and I got nothing. Okay. Well done, guys. Well, I'm getting close to home now, so I guess that brings this adventure to an end. As always, please like and subscribe. I mean, it doesn't take much. If you've enjoyed the video, give us a big thumbs up. And I mean, if you've watched the video this far, you might as well subscribe now. So yeah, and go check out my other adventures. There's plenty more kayak camping there, as well as a lot of gear reviews and other associated videos. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified when I put out new videos as well, so you can follow along with the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you out on the track somewhere. Thanks guys, see you later.